Your grandfather said, a great man doesn't seek to lead. He's called to it. And he answers.
Do you want to transform your life? And I really mean, do you want to be able to live the life that you absolutely love to live, that you're really proud, that you admire yourself for how it is that you show up, and you're just grateful for what is actually going on? Because most likely there is a gap right now. This is how I felt so often. There is a gap of where you are to where it is that you want to be. And it could be something like you want to be able to earn more money, have greater wealth, have better relationships. You want to be able to be in a better body, greater health. You want to be able to have more. Really, you want to be able to live up to the potential that deep down you know there is that pull for you wanting to be able to have. And in this episode, I want to share with you a shift that's been profound for me. And I truly want to be able to pass this on and transmute it over to you for you to be able to apply into your life as well. Because with this little shift, there is a profound effect that can ripple across your life. And honestly, making it so much simpler, easier, I really think gives you a sense of peace and harmony to life as well. So there's less stress, more fun. Because I was thinking about this last night, and over the past 10 years, what has happened? Because 10 years ago, I was somebody that I did not like. I was somebody that I did not love. I was doing a lot of things, trying to head in the right direction, but really feeling like I was fumbling and falling and not getting to where it is that I want. And honestly, I actually look back and I see photos of myself back then, and I can't really relate to that person. There's been so much change, and I'm very, very happy about that as well. But over the last 10 years, I've been able to live around the world, to be able to have homes around the world now. I've been married for over 11 years now to the woman of my absolute dreams. We've had 4 children come into this world, and I just utterly love, and I feel so grateful and privileged to be the father to these 4 daughters. I went from somebody that was in not good shape at all to somebody that I love how I look, feel, and perform on a day-to-day level. I've been able to grow businesses. I've been able to build and sell a company. I've been able to create financial freedom for myself and for my family. I've been able to create this amazing group of friends, this community of people I just absolutely love and adore, and I feel that reciprocated back as well. And I think I've really been able to go from somebody that where I didn't like myself, I didn't love myself, to now where the majority of the time, not the whole time, but the majority of the time, I do love myself. But don't think that this has just been all sunshines and rainbows. That is not the case, and I definitely do not want to ever be put on a pedestal. I want to make sure that the other side of life has also been seen, because in the past 10 years, I've gone through depression. I've gone through anxiety attacks. There was one time, I swear to God, I thought I was having a heart attack, and that was the absolute end of me as well. I've had people wanting to absolutely bring me down, tear me down, and rip everything away from me. I've questioned myself. I've hated myself. I went even just back to the questioning. I was questioning, do I even want to live? I've had suicidal ideation come up many times throughout life, especially in the last 10 years. And I've had harrowing experiences that I would never want to wish upon anybody else as well. But the shift that I want to be able to help you have from today, and really, I want to be able to make this very practical, something that you can pick up, something that you can use to be able to move forward with your life for yourself. And that shift really starts, and then it goes from one little perspectival shift, being able to then go into a bunch of lessons that I want to share with you. But that shift is actually really being able to step back, sit back, maybe take a breath and expand your time horizon. Far too often, I think we're trying to, in this world today, we're trying to achieve and do and get to things far too quickly. We're actually trying to control time. And again, you're trying to control things that you cannot control. You're trying to do things that have an outside capacity from yourself, and that is only going to lead to suffering at the end of the day. And that perspectival shift of that time horizon change is really going to be able to give you the space, and the space is really important. That subject-object relationship, that space that gets you to start to think a little bit clearer, have a multi-perspectival view, gets you to actually start acting in ways without feeling like you're in a rush as well. Because for me, it was that case of, okay, there was all these things I wanted to achieve, and it was always like, okay, I want it in 3 months, in 1 year. And it was always this really quick, rapid succession that had me feeling like I was literally rushing from one thing to the next, And I wasn't getting any real pleasure. I was definitely not getting any peace or fulfillment out of it as well. And so having that shift of that time horizon change, so whatever it is that you really want to be able to want, let's just say for right now, let's have it in 10 years from today. In 10 years from today, what is the life? Who is the person that you want to be able to be? And now I think it's really important to be able to have a bunch of lessons that help you support and kind of back you up, give you a foundation as you go over the next decade. And the first one is really taking responsibility for yourself and never passing the buck, and never what I call playing the victim. Far too often I found inside of myself that I was playing the victim. And when I play the victim, essentially I'm passing the responsibility off to someone or something else as to why it hasn't gone the way that I really wanted it to be. So take responsibility in all areas of your life and make sure that you are owning what it is that you can own. The next for me is a really true value, but it was actually a conversation yesterday that I had with Tucker Max. And he said something that was profound for me. And I want to play it for you in just a second from the interview that we had. But that is the actual difference between freedom and sovereignty. Freedom was something that I very much wanted. I talk about in the interview with Tucker how much I think of the difference right now of actually freedom and Freiheit. Rudolf Steiner talks about this in the book, The Philosophy of Freedom, and how freedom is the freedom that we usually typically think of today, but it coming from an outside external source. But Freiheit, this being the word that is actually about freedom, but coming from an internal source as well.
Only in the last year or so have I really, I think, started to understand the difference between freedom and sovereignty. It's very similar to what you said. I used to think of freedom as the goal. Like, I want to be free to do what I want. But then I realized, like, that, right, exactly what you said. Freedom is free from someone else's burdens or frames or decisions or whatever. And like, freedom has to be, in a sense, granted. And I realized that sovereignty is not, right? That's not how sovereignty works. Sovereignty can't be granted, right? It has to be earned. And it can only be earned by what you do, by taking responsibility.
The next, when it comes into looking over the next 10 years and what it is that you want to be able to achieve and do and have and be, is, well, who can you model off? What can you model off? Are you being able to have a way, a path, a North Star, a kind of compass for you to be able to guide yourself and navigate through those waters over the next 10 years? And one of the most important for me is literally finding the mentors, finding the people in my life of being able to have that guidance to be able to help me through, to be able to kind of like pull me back on track, to be able to call me out when I'm actually starting to go a little bit wayward, and making sure that I am heading in the right direction. Now, when it comes to mentors, yes, absolutely. It can be people that are, or it could be books. It could be people that have passed away, that aren't actually in this world, but you can kind of like tap back into, you can almost invoke them back in to what it is that you're doing to help you. But I also think very much the mentors that we have like in real life, and I guess it can very much be virtual, but I think there's something very powerful about that. Like, dare I say, I might be a little bit weird these days, but I actually want people that I can like see in person, and I can touch them, I can talk to them face to face, I can see and kind of like feel what's going on energetically as well. But with the mentors I want, and this is me, and hopefully this might kind of persuade you as well, but I want them to be able to have the values that is what a part of me as well. I want to be able to see them and see really what's going on behind the scenes and go, yeah, you know what? I really like that dude or dudette, and the way that they're doing things really resonates with me. So therefore I can pick up, and it's almost like I'm sold into what it is that they're doing and the guidance they're giving me for me to be able to proceed forwards. The next lesson I would love for you to be able to take on over the next 10 years was something that was probably one of the most profound things when it comes to like self-help or self-development or doing the work, and that is forgiveness. Forgiving the people that you think that might have harmed you, and being able to utterly and truthfully and with ease at the end of the day, let go of it, and being able to go through that forgiveness path, and then really importantly, being able to forgive yourself, being able to say to yourself, you know what, and for myself, you know what, Chris, you did the best you can at the time that you really went through that, and then it's okay. And this is a part of a learning lesson. And now it's time to be a better person to move forwards as well. I highly recommend the book Radical Forgiveness. by Colin Tipping. I'm randomly going to say that. I could be completely wrong. Google it. The next lesson kind of splits off into two different parts right now, and it's going to come over into the couple of points after that is going to cause a bit of a paradox. So stick with me for a second, but I think this is really important. And that is surrendering to divine timing. And if the words I used just then cause a little bit of a twitch in your eye and you go, that sounded a little bit woo, just stick with me for a second right now, because if a tattooed, bearded, meathead of a guy like myself can start saying this, maybe you can too. And that is a case of when we're trying to control things. I was trying to control when I wanted to achieve a certain thing, but there is a certain element of divine timing, of things just having to unfold the way that they're going to unfold, that we can never control. And it goes into the next part of this, that is being able to understand that Lady Fortune is a part of this entire process as well. And it comes back into what I was really pointing out at the start of this episode, in a case of, well, the things you can control are your thoughts and your actions. Everything else is outside of your control. So focus and deeply be responsible for the things that you can control. But understanding as well that Lady Fortune plays a part of this. Because of that, that means that things may not come out the way that you want them, and that's perfectly fine. So therefore focus back into what it is that you can control. So having a divine timing, letting it unfold the way that it has to unfold, and then also this kind of Lady Fortune playing a part of everything that we're doing as well, and kind of sitting back, relaxing back, and then having a bit more of a peace and harmony to the situation. So I'm going to add some tension into this right now, because I'm going to add a little bit of a paradox to it. So I just said, hey, there's a bunch of stuff that's out of your control, and that's totally cool as well. But on the flip side as well, one of the lessons that when I look back into the last 10 years, and I'm very thankful that I did do this, was work your ass off. When it is time to work, work. And I mean, be prepared to bleed through your forehead. Be prepared to sweat, to cry, to make it happen, because you have to really push and you have to put some grit behind it as well. Because then again, on the flip side, I want you to, when the time is right to work, you work. But then also there has to be, and this is something for me, and I'm really sharing this specific lesson right now, because this is something I've really had to pick up. And that was really the case of, there is work time, but then there is rest, recover, relax, and being able to give yourself that time to be able to sit back and be able to cool your jets, and to be able to then come back to when it is needed for you to be able to work again. Because I don't want you to be able to just think it's to work and hustle. There's too much of a hustle mentality, I believe, in kind of like the advice that's getting thrown out there today. There is the element of needing to be smarter, but that's also in the case of knowing when to grit and to push through, but knowing when to fold them, knowing when to walk away. And that is a real case that is super important, because there are times where I've been off track, and there are times where I was doing things, especially I thought I was doing the right thing. I thought I was going in the right direction, and I just wanted to keep working, and it just wasn't happening, and it wasn't happening. And then finally, through the pain teacher, I then realized, oh shit, I was doing the wrong thing. Oh shit, I was going in the wrong direction. And then being able to happily then put it down and then make a change and go into a different direction. Then another huge lesson to be able to make sure that you have a great and amazing, impeccable next 10 years for yourself is really being able to understand these two concepts that have been extremely salient and important to me recently. And that is lower your self-deception. And again, this kind of relates to the last point, because if you're working really hard, if you're doing something and it's not working, you could be self-deceiving yourself as to, well, maybe you're not actually working hard enough. Maybe you're actually completely doing the wrong thing. Maybe you need to think about this completely differently, and you need to be able to lower that self-deception, but you need to be able to increase your contact with reality, taking the stories away that you're currently telling yourself and telling the world, and being able to see things for what they could better be truly are as well. That's what I really mean when I say being able to have better contact with reality. The next key lesson for the next 10 years, once I knew what it is that I wanted mastery on, everything became simpler, because there wasn't this kind of massive plethora of different things that I was trying to achieve. It was this real simplicity, and it was really, for me, it continued to come back to 4 values, 4 virtues that I wanted to continue on, 4 things that I really wanted to have mastery on in life. And I could see this very easily once I really started to peel back, get some greater awareness upon myself, started to do that work, but then I could see it as into, yeah, this actually really is true, because I could see these 4 values play out in my life, in my calendar. So literally the things that I was doing and putting into my calendar, these were the things that were it. I could see it in my bank statement. The things I was spending money on were actually related to these 4 things. And then also the things that brought me joy. These were the 4 things that kept coming to. And for me, it is wisdom. I want to be able to cultivate deep wisdom into the topics I truly love and I feel obsessed and really interested and curious in. It is then wealth. I want to be able to create wealth and financial freedom for myself, my family, and then for others. It is health. I want to be able to look, feel, and perform the way at an absolute top level on a day-to-day. And I want to be able to have love. I want to be able to have loving relationships with others, whether it is with my wife, whether it is my 4 daughters, whether it is with my friends, my community, and then also with myself. Now, there's 2 more lessons that I want to be able to share with you. And really, I've completely shared these with you in no particular order as well. But the second last lesson I want to share with you, and something that's been really important for me. Well, they've all been important for me. That's why I'm sharing them with you today. But what it really is being able to cultivate a practice to bring yourself back to what is important. Because it is easy, well, I found it easy, to be able to stray off and start going off into other things, and to being able to really put your time, effort, energy into things that don't truly really matter at the end of the day. And for me, one of the practices that has been really profound is what I call a last time meditation. And that is really being able to bring to mind, to think of, this could be the last time that I do this thing. This could be the last time I'm sharing this, something like this with you today. It could be the last time I take a breath. It could be the last time I put my daughters to bed. It could be the last time that I make love to my wife. It could be the last time that I have a great laugh with one of my friends. And when I bring myself back to that last time meditation and realizing of the finiteness of life, of the true value and the fragileness of life as well, the importance of the things that are important become extremely to the surface. And then all the things that just don't matter fall away. And I think that's really important for me to be able to have the value of what is important front and center. And the last lesson that I want to be able to leave you with today is I want you to avoid foolishness. And for me, foolishness means that you know what it is that you should or need or want to be doing, but you lack the strength of character to actually follow through and do it. I don't want you to be foolish, because when I look in past the 10 years, when I made my biggest mistakes, when I made my wrong turns, when I did the things that I should not have done, it was really down to a lot of foolishness being at play as well. So I want you to avoid that, because I want to avoid that as well. So when you know what the right thing is to do, cultivate the strength of character so that you can follow through with it when you're supposed to follow through with it, with the intensity and the integrity that you should be following through with it with. And I hope right now, it is my absolute hope, with all of these lessons, with these insights, with the shift of the time horizon being expanded out, thinking about who is it that you want to be in the next 10 years? What is it that you want to have achieved and done, have experienced in the next 10 years? And these lessons that we can start to apply, almost principles and heuristics that we can start to use to help guide ourselves as we go through this path, I think can be really profound, because it makes things simpler. So the easiest way, the best way, the most efficient, proactive way right now is to choose one of the lessons. What are you going to be able to help apply for today? What is one lesson that you can apply today? And the best way is to be able to have some self-accountability, some group accountability to ensure that you start to follow through that. To take that one small action so that you actually start to tell yourself the story that you are the person moving forward in that way. And one of the easiest ways to do that is to comment below. What is that one lesson that you want to apply to today for yourself? And I dare say, how can you even apply that also? Because I would love to hear this. I don't want this to be a monologue, a one-way conversation of me just talking to you. I want you to be able to talk back. I want this to be in dialogue with how it can best be for us to be able to all improve. Because I'm very much a big believer that a rising tide lifts all ships, and we're all doing this together as well. So I'd love to know what's the one lesson for you to be able to do. I'd love to know what it is that you really want to be, do, achieve, have in the next 10 years or so. And I want you to know that I really appreciate your time and attention and being with me today in this episode. And I'm very much looking forward to seeing you in the next episode.